Hey, babes. So this week we're talking about how you speak to yourself. The way you talk to yourself may seem harmless and not hurting anyone else, but think again. Don't fall into the trap of listening to your very own Gail. Let's dive in so we can meet her. Are you a beauty or barber pro looking for that push to do that thing you've always wanted to do, whether it's in or out of the salon, spa, or shop? Are you tired of not feeling good enough, smart enough, skilled enough? Are you tired of not getting a handle on your mental health, boundaries, and insecurities? I'm Christine Sherwood, the BeautyPro coach, an internationally certified coach, a salon and spa owner, and your personal Jiminy Cricket. I use my own experiences, good and bad, as a salon owner to help you be more self-aware, authentic, and forward-thinking in your approach to life, in and out of the salon. It's time to reach your version of success with the Beauty Pro Coach podcast. Babes, so here's a question that I really want you to ponder over this next week, all right, or until you get to listen to the next episode of the Beauty Pro podcast. But how do you speak to yourself? Think about that. How you speak to yourself so matters. And whether you know it or not, we're constantly talking to ourselves. We're making comments, we're organizing thoughts, we're lifting ourselves up, pushing ourselves down. I personally believe that when we talk out loud, that's how deep we're in our own thoughts. That's how crowded our minds are. They say, the smartest people do talk to themselves out loud. So take comfort in that the next time you catch yourself. But honestly, I really do believe, because I do it too. And some of the girls at the salon, they go, "What? Were you talking to me?" And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" "Well, you just said something." "Oh, I did? Oh, no, no." Like, that means that I need to sit down with myself, unclutter my mental emotional filing cabinet, which is my brain, and release all that pent up emotion and energy and thoughts and plans and dreams and all of that. I got to write it out. And so I encourage you to do that too. Okay. But my point here is the way you talk to yourself matters. If you're constantly saying to yourself, "Oh, I'm so stupid," or "Duh, of course I do that because I'm just so flippin' smart," right? These sayings are based on the beliefs we have about ourselves because we had some kind of event or action in our past that jolted us into having thoughts that were put on replay that we told ourselves over and over again. And those things turned into beliefs that now that's how we see life. And guess what? It's not true. This cycle is made up and it's not reality. And the only person we have to blame really is ourselves. Okay. So, how you speak to yourself matters. And if you're even listening to music that is just derogatory and calling yourself stupid and names and putting yourself down all the time, you are repeating thoughts. So, they will eventually become your new beliefs. Just an example really quickly with that is that for a couple years there, I was like all about, and I have my days too. I was all about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and female rappers, Iggy Azalea. Like I know the words and I can rap them out, and I am just like, right? After a while, after I went through that phase, I realized, like, oh my gosh, like I am calling myself so many terrible things. Like, yes, I'm a boss, but do I really have to call myself such a derogatory name? Like, even if it is in a good way, like in it trying, and okay, here's the thing. So I've heard this from so many of my own coaching clients and even just people in general. And I personally feel that we're lying to ourselves when we do this. But I've had people tell me, well, it's just that it's such a derogatory word that I am actually using it to empower myself. Okay, please tell me, how are you empowering yourself by calling yourself a female breeding dog? How is that empowering? You're calling yourself a dog. Think about that. No, I want somebody to call me the queen bee. Like, everybody works for me in the hive. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm talking about. So, believe it or not, Beyonce has that a little bit right. Okay. Okay. So, how you speak to yourself matters. How what you listen to matters. And when you believe and when you're like rapping and listening to music and repeating the chorus so many times, you're actually brainwashing yourself. Okay. And how you speak to yourself and what you think about yourself, you are going to start speaking to others that same way. Okay. And you might be like, no, 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 no. I only do that to myself. I treat people like queens. I speak to everybody so sweetly. I would never do that to anybody else. Okay, you probably wouldn't, but your vibes and your actions, it's going to come out. Okay, it's going to happen. Believe me, I've been there. And so if you're talking to yourself nasty and you're having a terrible outlook on yourself, you will treat others just like you treat yourself. Imagine all those salon and spa owners and managers out there that are just so nasty. Okay. That's their problem. And no matter how frustrating it is, only they can fix that ugliness. The same way you can only control you. All right. And if you are in that position where your manager or your owner is just so nasty, tell them to listen to this podcast. Tag them in one of my Instagram posts. Okay. We're going to get to Miss Gail, and I'm going to tell you about Gail. But first off, we're going to start with limiting beliefs. And today's episode, I was really kind of hesitant on recording this one only because it's so in depth. This is something I really coach my one-to-one clients on because everybody's a little bit different. As a note, I just want to say that the info we're going over in this episode, I wish it was something that I came up with from my own fabulous brain. But in fact, this material that I'm going over is actually from the coaching school I got certified by. It's the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching, also known as iPEC. And so this info is their copyright and trademark. So I just want to get that out there because I would love to take credit for it, but it's not my theory. But it works. It absolutely freaking works. Okay. So let's get back to it. Limiting beliefs. We're going to start backwards of the acronym GAIL. Because when we work backwards, we're able to kind of eliminate all other excuses. And the way that iPEC has created this theory is that you work with the easiest stuff first, and then you get to the harder, more core part of ourselves. So, limiting beliefs. We hear it a lot. We hear it tossed around on social media all the time. Everybody talks about limiting beliefs and blah, 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 blah. And how they keep us down and telling us we can't do something. And I'm here to clear it up for you just a little bit more. All right. Limiting beliefs are things we believe to be true, even if it's not reality. We go through this cycle of an action in our life. We start getting feelings around that action. We form thoughts based on those feelings, which we put on replay that we end up believing, which then becomes our new reality because we decide that it's our new truth. And what does that tell us? That tells us that we can create a new truth for ourselves at any given moment about any given topic, about any given thing, person, place, anything. We can rewire our own brains. We don't need to pay thousands of dollars like I have to rewire, although it does kind of fast forward the process, I will tell you. I will tell you that being surrounded by other people who actually do want to change their lives, it matters. I don't know. Hopefully, maybe one day we'll have the BeautyPro retreat. I don't know. We'll see. I'll need your feedback on that one. All right. So the next letter of the acronym GAIL, moving backwards, is I. And this is interpretations. We all have our own interpretation of how life should be, how things should feel like, so on and so forth. And this is when we understand something as one thing or one viewpoint because of how we wear our rose colored glasses. I love that song by Katy Perry. I don't remember the name of it right now, but Bob Marley's grandson, I think, is in the song too. And she talks about how we all have our rose colored glasses on. We all sing and dance to the rhythm because we have our rose colored glasses on. And that's basically what interpretations are. We all have our own Instagram filters, right? From our own brains, and they are based on our life experiences. So let's say you had a terrible toxic experience in a commission salon and you were getting, I don't know, some crazy number like 70% commission. And so now you believe that every commission salon is terrible and they're toxic and they say that you make the big bucks, but in reality, they're just pimping you out and all of this, the crazy things that people say. That was just your one bad experience and it's not true. That's like saying, you went to go smell a rose and you got bit by a spider. And so now you say that all roses are dangerous, right? Like they're all spicy flowers because they all have spiders in them. No, interpretations are like overgeneralizations that don't work. Okay. The next one is assumptions. And assumptions and interpretations are very similar, but they're not the same. Okay. And I feel like the best way would be for you to look up the definition of assume and interpret, and that'll help you understand these two. But assumptions are similar, except there's no rose colored glass. Okay. It's all about thinking what possibly is instead of facing what the reality is. So just think about when you assume something. Oh, well, she always has a Starbucks in her hand, so I just assumed that she loves Starbucks. You're literally creating a story out of thin air. Meanwhile, she probably has a Starbucks coffee just because, her boyfriend gives it to her and she doesn't want to hurt his feelings, kind of deal. Okay? Apply that to your clients. It's the same thing. Your coworkers, the same thing. Your boss always has a sour face whenever you're around. And so you just assume that she hates your freaking guts. Meanwhile, it's probably that every single time you go to say hi to her, she's probably in a fight with her toxic boyfriend, okay? Who gives her a Starbucks to make up for cheating on her, okay? Think about that. So, and the next time you go to create a story, instead of assuming, just go up to the person and ask, okay? Now we get to gremlins. Gremlins is the G in GAIL. Gremlins, this is one of the more complicated of the GAIL acronym. And this is something that a lot of my one-to-one coaching clients we work on and it literally creeps up into us all the time. And it's complicated because we create our gremlin. We do it ourselves. Like we actually create this little monster, which, if you've ever seen the 80s movie called Gremlins, that's exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay. Gremlins, they look just like that. We water them and they turn into demons. And they are the lies we create ourselves, and they become bigger and stronger the more we water it. Here's the next thing: we can't ever defeat the gremlin, but we can learn to starve it, and that's how we manage it. I know you're probably thinking like, what the hell? I know, it's crazy. So gremlins, an example of what they do is they whisper in our ear and they say, "Who do you think you are? You want to be a salon and spa owner with 5 stylists and 5 estheticians with 1 nail tech and 1 massage therapist? Are you kidding? You come from the trailer park. How dare you think that you can ever do something like that?" That's your gremlin. Or maybe you feel like you were totally uneducated. You didn't finish high school. You got a GED. You never went to college. You're over here doing hair extensions like a freaking boss babe, and you're charging the big bucks. But yet, you still hear this little whisper like, you don't deserve that money. Why do you think you got that? You are not smart enough to make 6 figures. That's what our gremlins tell us. They are our insecurities on steroids. All right. So these are the 4 points that make up GAIL. We all have a GAIL inside us. She might go by a different name, but it's all the same. For instance, my GAIL, her name is Kylie, spelled with a Kyle. She's got fiery red hair, green eyes, with a bad attitude. And if you are listening and you have red hair, green eyes, and your name is Kylie, it's nothing personal, okay? I promise. I love you. Thank you for listening. It's just part of the exercise, okay? But I encourage you, and this is something that I had to do in my coach training, that I encourage you to make your gremlin come to life. Sculpt her, paint her, you know, do something that gets her out of your mind and into a physical form so that you can see her and you can be like, screw you. I can be like, screw you, Kylie. Get the hell out of here. I don't need you. That's not true. And the truth is that when we do that kind of exercise where we take what's in our mind and we put it out into the universe, like paper or creating a sculpture of our gremlin or GAIL, we're that, or no, our gremlin. We're creating our gremlin. So when you create your gremlin outside of yourself, you can actually look at her and be like, you are nothing. I created you. I can burn you. Okay. It's scientifically proven that, when you disassociate yourself with something like that, you are much more able to overcome it because you're more self-aware, because now you put a face to the thing that drives you crazy. So, like I just want to remind you that I wish I could take full credit for this information, but it's not. It's from the coaching school that I went to, and they have literally changed my life. And so here I am relaying this information to you so I can help you change your life, your career behind the chair. And I want to hear from you. I want to know what's coming up for you, what's resonating with you in this episode. Where do you see yourself? Where do you need to work on most? Okay. And feel free to reach out for me on Instagram or Facebook or email me, because this is the heart of what I coach on. And we all want to make more money. We all want to make six figures. We all want to be those boss babes, okay, with a whole bunch of people on our payroll. But if we can't even think straight about how we approach life, we're not going to be those amazing leaders. I've said it before, owning a business in any capacity, it's the ultimate form of self-help. So I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Babes, with all this info out there, I hope you're able to identify where you're struggling most. I encourage you, sit down with yourself, write out each of these areas to see where you have the most conflict. We all have these points in us, but there's all one that we really get most. Okay. If you struggle with these, I encourage you to DM me on Instagram, send me an email. The more self aware we are, the more healing we can be to ourselves and our teams. If you loved this episode, subscribe to the BeautyPro podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to leave your reviews, stars, feedback so I can continue bringing the content you deserve and want most. Your feedback fuels this podcast. The more you give, the more you get back. You can follow me at The BeautyPro Coach on Instagram and Facebook. Want to contact me directly? Email me at befree@goldentruthcoaching.com.